What up, YouTube? We are back with yet another banger video, and a lot of you guys wanted to know how the heck I ended up with a 600, a 1000, and a 1400, what the reasons are, yada yada yada. I feel like today is the day that I should break it out for y'all, man. And let's explain, kind of in the order that we brought the bikes to the channel. Now I figured we could start off with the ZX14, man. The ZX14 Big Bertha. This is my 2016 ZX14, and it is a beast, needless to say. Now, I'll be honest with y'all, I only specifically bought this bike because it was my dream bike when I was in college. I always wanted one, so I had to make sure I had one before I stopped riding. Now, the rumors that these bikes are fast is no joke. Currently, this bike pushes 206 horsepower, but we're aiming for 230, 240. And yeah, man, I mean, this bike has always been a fun thing to ride. Now, I was heavily contemplating into turning this into a road race bike, and I'm still thinking about it, man. The only thing that has me kind of hesitant is that these bikes are so freaking heavy. This bike is like right under 600 pounds. And if you're road racing, you want to have a light bike. Obviously, this ain't it. Now, what's the best counter to not having a light bike? Probably adding more power. So like maybe a turbo coming up. Now, this bike doesn't have a lot of stuff done to it, man, but I swear I love this bike. It always feels just like home when you get on it. And I mean, the power is just immediate. It's always there. Now, there are a few things I don't like about this bike. The weight being one of them, obviously, but big motor, heavy engine. It is what it is. Another thing that I don't like about this bike specifically, the ABS. I am not a fan of ABS. I literally hate it. I don't like how squishy it makes the brakes feel. A lot of people say you can disable it and all this and all that. I'm not really trying to do all that. I just choose to buy bikes without them. I don't like the ABS. And then lastly, I don't like the dual pipes that come out of this thing. They're big old bazooka cannons and I hate them. I absolutely hate the exhaust that come on these. Which is why I went to the Brock single side exhaust, because it just made the most sense. Power, sounds good, and it's a single side. So that's what we went with. I've been going back and forth on getting rid of this bike, but it just seems to stay in the garage. I feel like I just can do so much with this bike. And yeah, I'm really interested in seeing what's gonna happen with it next. Next up, we got my 2016 Yamaha R6. A lot of people love this bike. Seriously, I have never had so many people tell me they love a bike that I've had since I've had this R6. It is the 60th anniversary in that yellow, comes with the gold rims. And I mean, I think this bike just looks amazing. Now, when I bought this bike, it was bone stock, like tail tighted everything. It had 1,000 miles on it. And I honestly did not go into the dealership to buy this bike. I actually went into the dealership to buy a 2015 BMW S1000 RR, but when I went to the dealership, I took a look at the bike. It just was used like really hard. It had 15,000 miles on it, and you can tell somebody was tracking it. Honestly, I just didn't want those problems. So I ended up with this bike, which I am kind of glad I made. A lot of people love it, but it's not my favorite bike. Now, I will say this bike is amazing for the corners. It is amazing for a track bike. It is amazing for the canyons, and it's a pretty fun bike. The exhaust I got on here is absolutely incredible, but it's a little loud, if I'm being honest. But needless to say, I mean, I like it. Now, we've added levers here. We've added a quick shifter on here. We've got a full system on here, exhaust system on here. We've been kind of taking it slowly with this bike. I didn't want to put too much money into this bike because I really don't think I'm going to keep this bike. Like, as much as I love it, I just don't see myself holding on to it. But right now, the current thing is I think I'm gonna try to turn it into a track bike, or at least throw it into like a canyon specific bike. I don't know. I'm just debating on whether or not I should keep it or not. A lot of people love it, but I don't know. I don't like being on 600s. And it might not make a lot of sense to a lot of people, but 600s in Atlanta just are not fun. I mean, they are fun. Don't get me wrong. You can do a lot of things on 600s, but I don't know. Especially if you have a group full of 1000s and you're the only one on the 600, it is not fun. But needless to say, this will go down as one of my all-time favorite bikes. It was fun when I loved it, and now that I don't love it anymore, not so fun. And lastly, we have my brand new baby girl. This is my brand new ZX10. We've only had it for a few weeks now, and in that few weeks, we have put a 3/4 aero exhaust onto it. Sounds incredible. And that is about the only modification. Oh yeah, the tail tidy. So we don't have the ugly tail section in here. We got the tail tidy. That looks pretty good. Outside of that, I mean, we got nothing else. Now, I bought this bike specifically because I love the ZX10. If you guys saw my earlier YouTube videos from earlier this year, my buddy had a ZX10. I test rode his ZX10. I loved it. Now, I've talked about this before. This is not my very first ZX10. I've had a 2009 ZX10 that had motor work into it, extremely fast bike. I love this bike so much. Yeah, I don't really have any complaints that I don't like about this bike right now. If I could say anything, I will say the quick shifter is sometimes good, sometimes iffy. Well, it works every time, but like I said, sometimes it's a little sluggish and sometimes it's pristine. I don't know why it does that, but again, just something to know that I don't like. The auto blip works beautifully every time, but I should be getting this bike tuned soon, and we should see what kind of horsepower numbers we really have coming out of this thing. Now this bike, I'll have to be honest, once I get it tuned, that's pretty much gonna be it for the motor, but I am going to do a butt ton of aesthetic things. Completely different set of fairings. We're gonna have carbon everywhere. We're gonna have new wheels. Like, everything is gonna be done to this bike. But again, all that takes money. Plus it is in the winter time. I wanna get it tuned in the winter time though, because by the time riding season comes out, I don't want there to be any delays as far as riding this bike. Now, getting the parts in to make it look good, you never know how long you're gonna have to wait on those, but that is my 3 bike lineup. And yes, I have the 600, the 1000, and the 14. It gets to be a little bit much to try to pick which one to ride, but remember, anything you want in life can be yours. I don't have any courses to sell you on. I can't tell you anything. I can just tell you I work really hard, and some days it doesn't seem like it's worth it. I come down to the garage and I am filled with joy just to see what I'm able to afford. You guys don't have to be rich, you just have to work hard, I promise you, and try to be good with your money, and you can have the same things that I have. Dark days don't stay forever, the sun comes out tomorrow, and just remember, keep it 1K, aka 1000. Ride safe, peace.